everyone, happy Monday, happy Thanksgiving to my fellow Canadians. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Today we'll discuss SANDVINE. SANDVINE made the news last week through Bloomberg's investigation that was published. The Bloomberg did investigation pertaining to SANDVINE's activities. SANDVINE originally was a Canadian company that serviced mostly Canada and had some global markets, and then it was bought out by a US company in 2017. After that, they decided to expand their market. And by expanding their market, it meant actually having contracts with Belarus, Russia, Jordan, United Emirates, Algeria, Afghanistan, Pakistan, even Uzbekistan, and Azerbaijan. So what does SANDVINE actually do? It provides a multitude of solutions, but the ones that came under fire specifically was actually blocking internet. Last month and the months previously, they were reported originally in August that there was internet blockage and there was no internet available in Belarus. So after and during the elections of Belarus president Lukashenko, and these elections clearly are not exactly legitimate per se. Russia recognized them, but nevertheless, this is not about what we're discussing. So the internet was blocked in the opposition, and nobody else could actually access Facebook or post any videos on YouTube pertaining to the election and the protests that have been happening in Belarus. Additionally, the same thing happened in September, early in the beginning of September. Nevertheless, according to Bloomberg's investigation, SANDVINE provided such services there, and the equipment was provided and sold last year and was delivered to Belarus in 2019. And of course, I'm sure it has been delivered to Russia because it states on their website Russia is one of their clients. However, since that all happened, SANDVINE claims that they completely canceled the contract with Belarus, and also originally they claim that they don't believe that internet is a human right. Therefore, they don't believe they were violating anything, aiding anything, even though technically speaking, where they're providing those services, that technically would be actually aiding totalitarian regimes and actually aiding and blocking internet and creating firewall. And I'm not talking about firewall protection, I'm talking about internet news firewall where everybody's surrounded and they don't have access and cut off. So for example, there's human rights violations happening that people could not post for the world or UN to see because clearly, there's no internet and there's no way to get around it unless you use satellite, which is very expensive to use and not many people have access to personal satellite phone services. So clearly that's one of them. Additionally, this is not the first time. Azerbaijan got equipment and internet blockage delivered to them in beginning of September. So technically speaking, it would mean that Turkey with Azerbaijan already planned to have escalation of conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh, because the timing it would mean that just last month they ordered additional equipment from SANDVINE. And SANDVINE has not specified that they actually canceled contract with Azerbaijan at the time. Even though right now there is an agreement to stop fighting between Azerbaijan and Armenia with Nagorno-Karabakh, but nevertheless, there was quite bloody scenarios that was happening last week. There was casualties on both sides. There was reported Syrian mercenaries fighting in Azerbaijan for Nagorno-Karabakh region, but on behalf of Azerbaijan, there's a lot of different. However, this is what Bloomberg did, and this is a very great investigation, and Bloomberg always has been great in providing a lot of information doing investigations. So I started looking up SANDVINE and started looking up further their name and different connections to different things. So it turns out very interestingly enough, and it mentioned one of the clients is Russia. So I looked at it because, yes, obviously Russia disrupting internet in a country because, Russia wants to go to intranet. However, they want to use all their own software going forward. So that's would be as interesting right now. But I looked up into something else. You look at it last year, in July, there was disruption of a Galileo system. At the time, I have written an article pertaining to that. So what happened, basically all the clocks simultaneously went off. So European agency investigated and they claimed that there was an issue with precise timing facility. The PTF is a key element of the ground mission segment of the Galileo global navigation satellite system, which is under European Space Agency. And the Galileo system time has two main functions. It's to provide a very stable time reference for navigation and meteorological timekeeping, to have an accurate computation of the orbit, including satellite clock information in the Galileo navigation message. I will post a link to my article I did last year in regards to specs and more technological stuff pertaining to the Galileo itself. At the time, it also was interesting enough that I noticed that the timing of outage coincided with the launch of Russia's Spectre G Spectrum Gamma mission, and it was launched with Proton M rocket at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The launch was plagued by the delays with multiple issues reported previously, but nevertheless, it was launched, and the latter had an energy range of 0.5 to 10 kilowatts. And what is very interesting about all of this is that at the time, it was plausible to believe that Russia disrupted and jammed that signal. And it's not the first time. For example, there's reports that near Black Sea, an area of Crimea, ships reported losing navigation system and everything like that. The signal was jammed. The same was experienced in Syria as well, and Israel reported having the same issues near the airport. But additionally, I was thinking about that prior before, and outside of those coincidences, there's also Nika. Nika is a portable system for signal jamming. Russia is actually building bigger stations around Russia to jam the signal within Russia. So, for example, surveillance would be difficult to make, especially if it's in certain regions where, for example, Russia is testing its military equipment or even nuclear weapons, possibly. I'm not saying that's what Russia is doing, but I'm saying there's a lot of possibilities with that. But nevertheless, what came up was interesting with all of that is that SANDVINE system came up with it. Originally, there's a lot of recommendations as far as the European agency is concerned before in regards to using alternative, which is Pepsol. But nevertheless, SANDVINE came up. Even though the wording SANDVINE was not used in any type of Russian online government documents that are available, which are obviously unclassified. But reading the description, there's a lot of stuff that would actually coincide with SANDVINE does. And comparing to certain portions or explanations what are available even on SANDVINE website, and reading in different forums that I did over the weekend in regards to how the system actually works, because again, until Bloomberg, I have not known much about SANDVINE besides, such systems exist. Yes, it's a Canadian company, even saw, different titles when they were started a while back, but nevertheless, there was nothing particular until I looked this weekend more closer into it, and this is what I discovered. So, this is where it came to me and was a very interesting point. However, I would love for people to comment on this and more people who are experts in this field, because clearly I'm not an expert on satellites or any type of signal jamming. So nevertheless, what I have uncovered is that that system could have possibly aided with conjunction with Russian technology to actually jam signal further. And this is where it became interesting. Obviously, Nika was created before even SANDVINE became into creation. So, and the only reason uniqueness of Nika, it's portable. So if someone wants to travel with it on behalf of the government, obviously, because it's not for sale for private use in any way, shape, or form, it is very easy to have put in specific box and suitcase where it will be unnoticeable and it will be known that it's actually. So basically, it's easy to transport. For example, it could be easily transported to Syria. It would be easily transported on different vessels. It's easily portable and this is what the reason why it was done. However, there's new modifications that I expect to happen with it as well, because in August, Russian scientists unveiled the portable atomic battery as well. So that could be possibly an additive to that system, added to everything else, because it allows, again, even more portability and allows longer battery use, and specifically for those type of purposes, because atomic battery is not for everyday consumer product goods, clearly. So given all that, and given SANDVINE, so technically it would mean that an American-owned product company is actually possibly aiding Russian government to jam signals and possibly cause serious disruptions going forward in the future, including the Galileo, even though I firmly believe that Galileo scenario was very specific because all clocks went at the same time. It was not an accident. It was not something that the system failed itself. There had to be an outside external meddling into the system and in that specific component in order to have such to occur. So nevertheless, given the SANDVINE connection, it is interesting, and even reading further, like I said, as far as Russian military is concerned, SANDVINE is providing certain type of services to Russian government, but nevertheless Russian government, specifically to signal jamming facilities possibly, because like I said, the wording, let's face it, majority of defense and information pertaining to military and operational intelligence is always classified. So clearly, a person like myself would never be able to locate it on public and open sources, but nevertheless, what you find that's available and putting into analysis, clearly SANDVINE has actually contributed to something like that. And of course, I would love to have, as I pointed out earlier in my video, people's opinions. I would love to know if anybody's in professional services which involves dealing with satellites, what do they actually think from engineering perspective, from even defense perspective, if such people are available to comment and have a discussion over this. Would love to hear any other ideas, what other possibilities with SANDVINE. Is it time to have SANDVINE looked at by US government and possibly impose certain type of restrictions, what products they can sell and how they're actually aiding totalitarian regime, and how it could be actually possibly long-term threat to the West and to society by them providing such services, even though I understand in the market economy, they do provide a product, but again, there's a difference providing a product that could possibly aid to causing serious issues within the world and actually disrupt signals which are imperative for many types. For example, ship navigation is important. Certain type of tactical operations when they're happening in certain regions are important, because when you lose signal, even though a lot of them do rely on satellite and have their secure networks, I'm not saying that they need a public network, but however, even if people are dealing with some type of informants, that they're dealing in the Middle East or anywhere else and disruption happens, and obviously, I'm not saying people use regular cellular services to do all that, but what I'm saying is it could possibly cause imperative problems for a lot, and possibly even cause problems for a lot of different operations. Not huge problems, because like I said, there's security and there's other measures that are actually done now, but nevertheless, it could be just one of the small components that could make certain situations challenging and put additional risk to them. So anyways, I would love to know what everybody thinks. Please click like, please subscribe to my channel. We'd love to hear everybody's opinions. And also you could all read my articles under Kristina Kitova at communalnews.com. Thank you and have a great Monday, everybody. Bye for now.